Hello, everyone, and as always, welcome back to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. Today, back into our play by email challenge against the devilish Mr. Lodrick. And this will be the setup phase for January 28th, 1942. Almost to the end of January. We just watched the combat resolution in the last video. Not a whole lot happened last time. Lost a couple little ships. We'll go look at all the stats. Then we'll just take a buzz around the map, see what's going on. If something jumps out at me as being interesting, we can talk more in depth about it in the comments. If there's something you want to see, something you want to talk about, make sure and let me know. I would appreciate it. Always, I mean, this is a learning process, not about just watching me blast away with Lodrick. I want you to learn the game so you can play it and enjoy it. It's the best game ever made. So anyway, let's get into the stats and see what happened. As I said, it's January 28th in this game, so every day that clicks by, that's to our advantage. Recap. Today, or the last turn, we ran 55-25 in sorties. The Japanese 99-57 for the campaign. Now they're almost over 200,000 sorties. Air-to-air losses, 0-0. Destroyed on the field, 0-0. Same with destroyed by flak. And then operational losses, we took one. It's representing that the Japanese took three. Again, fog of war, we really have no idea, but it's telling us three. Political points, we now have 527, just as kind of a baseline. Usually air units are going to cost you, it could be anywhere from 30 to 50 points to buy out if you're putting them in a different command. And when I say different command, what I mean by that is there are kind of big overall commands like Pacific Fleet, for instance, and then you have sub commands underneath that, such as the different, two fighter would be underneath Pacific Fleet. Well, if it's in two fighter and you just want to put it in the general Pacific Fleet command, that costs you a certain amount of points. That is less than if you want to flip it over to hell, I don't know, ABDA, which is the kind of big overall American, British, Dutch, Australian command. If you're going to get it out of its big main command, it costs you more. Um, and so when you're talking about air units, on the low side, it may only cost you about 10 points to keep it in the same big overall command, even if you change the lower level command. It may cost you up to, could be anywhere from 30 to 50, something like that. If you're going to change the big command. In infantry, it works kind of the same way, but it costs a lot more points to move infantry around. They really don't want you doing that a whole lot. I say the developers, they wanted it to be pretty severe if you're going to be switching commands on those. So for a brigade or regiment, it's probably going to cost you 500 or 600 points to actually move over the big command. If you're doing a smaller command, it could be less. Okay, the score 10,362 to 93,32, about 1,000 point difference here. He's about to knock 1,800 off of us when he takes Singapore. That'll hurt. Again, 4-1's the benchmark. We just can't let it get that far away from us. It's possible it could happen in this game. He's been really aggressive and done a good job. We'll see. I mean, we got the rest of 1942. We got to hold on and also start trying to strike back. We control 514 bases, Japanese 323. Again, Singapore's the big one there. He'll also eventually be coming after Surabaya down in the Dutch East Indies, picks up, 20 points here, 40 points there. It all starts to add up. Allied aircraft points lost, 731. The Japanese, 405. Okay, so this is kind of, we're kind of losing about the same number of planes at this point. He was really ripping us up air to air when he was going up against Dutch fighters or against American fighters that didn't have good pilots yet. But the new trops that we've got out there in India and whatnot, they're on a pretty level playing field with the Zeros and the Oscars. So hopefully we'll start to even these numbers up a little bit anyway. Points lost, 30, almost 4,000 Army lost points. Japanese Army lost points, 99. Who knows if that's accurate, but regardless, let's just say it's off 50 points. That's a rounding error for that kind of lead at this point. Allied ship sunk 341, 2371 on the points. We're only showing 3 Japanese ships that have gone down. It's more, but we don't know how much more. Ship sunk last turn. Let's check that out. Now this is what we're looking for. You lose one little AKL to James Cook, 2 points. Okay, that's a good turn for us, obviously. Let's look at the withdrawal schedule. Okay, so we have some Airacobras in LA that need to withdraw. You should always go check this. You want to get them off the map in time. So 3 days, and this is going to be like 80 Airacobras, but these were training aircraft right at the start, and we'll get those cleaned up and get them off the map. All right. Reinforcement schedule. We've got some Kingfishers, whoop-de-doop-de. 2 bits of Lightnings here. Now, the Lightnings are interesting aircraft. If we go look at them, shoot, it won't show us this here. Too bad. Okay, the Lightning can fly at a very high altitude. Now these are the recon Lightning. There are some that are fighter Lightning as well. You can fly those suckers up at like 30,000 feet if you need to. Their maneuverability doesn't really go down. Just something to keep in mind for the Lightning. It's something if you're really getting torn up with the Zeros, you want to try to come from on top of them. The Lightning are a good one, good aircraft to do that. We get some Fulmer 2s in. Now these Fulmers are the fighter bombers. We've kind of talked about this before, but fighter bombers, they're carrier capable for the British. And so, you can use them in both roles or either or. But the Fulmer 2s are the British fighter that go on their carriers at the start. Hurricane one trops down here are these. Yeah, they are the fighters. Just really good aircraft. You get good pilots with them. That's what you got to use to defend India, Colombo, etc., etc. Top pilots. Did we get an ace? Still no ace. And you can see a lot of our top pilots have also gotten killed or missing in action. Grover, he's our guy. He's got 4 kills. He's sitting around here in a P-40B Warhawk, but he can't get that 5th kill, it seems. We could go look at pilot replacements, but let's not. That's a whole different rabbit hole. Ship availability. What do we have coming in? ETAs here. Let's see. Let's sort this the other way. Okay. Um, in one day, we get a tanker, we get some cargo, we get the Idaho into San Francisco in 3, the Norman, which is a destroyer, in at Cape Town in 5. The Revenge in 9 days, that comes in at Cape Town as well. We start to get a lot of British battleships here in at Cape Town, and also some of those good British destroyers that have an 8 ASW. So that's what's coming in there. Ship withdrawal, I guess we can look at this. These don't pop up nearly as much. Let's sort this. If we did, oh gosh, darn it, stop sorting the wrong way. There we go. 27 days. We got to get the Joseph T. Dickman out. Okay. The Queen Elizabeth in 81 days. Now, the Queen Elizabeth is sailing around to Melbourne. I've got some troops on the Queen Elizabeth, worth a lot of points. Huge ship. Now, I think that ends up going to the Atlantic, right? I think the Queen Elizabeth ferried a lot of Allied troops back and forth between America and Great Britain, if I'm correct. Well, I think that's true. Okay, that's that. Really nothing else to see here. I mean, you're not going to see that many ships withdrawn. And not that, it's for one thing, it was tough to get them back over, into the Atlantic. And so usually they kind of stay, in the Pacific and the Indian if that's where they are. Ground reinforcement schedule, again, always looking for those ones coming into Chungking. Now, this is a smaller one. We also get the 23rd Indian Division into Madras. That's very helpful. We got to beef up India as much as we can. This is a lot of interesting stuff that can go out into the Pacific. These Raider battalions, they're not, overly strong, but you put it on an island, like Christmas Island or something like that, and they can, hold out against a lot, against a amphibious invasion force. You don't need a whole lot of points just because it's very hard to, land on some of these islands. So, they're helpful. We'll put them out in the Pacific. But again, Chungking, here's the big ones. We just need as many of these as we can get. Chungking, Chungking, come on, let's go. Okay. All right, so I think that's good on stats. Nothing really else to see. For some reason, it popped us up here by India. Now, what's going on? We've got the carrier coming through here. That is the Indomitable. Now, one thing you may have noticed on the ship withdrawal, the Indomitable actually gets withdrawn in July. So this is just something that they sent over to the Arabian Sea, over here to Aden, kind of as a patchwork. It's not meant to stay over here for long. It's only going to be here till July, but that's fine. We can use all the help we can get. Now, the problem is you don't have enough strength here to match up with the Japanese. So if he's going to bring carriers up, well, you don't want to fight toe to toe with them. Really, this would be the kind of thing, the Indomitable at this point anyway, that you're going to want to use if he's got, 2 or 3 battleships that are raiding ports up and down India, but don't fight carriers with your one. He's going to have 3 to 6. And so it's just, and the British carriers at this point, especially, just aren't very good. And so you're going to, really be on the run. You could make the argument just to leave this in Aden. It's just a big point total that probably isn't going to do a whole lot for you. But I'm bringing it through. Let's see. Royal Sovereign, the battleship. This is kind of the first one we got naturally into the game. That also came into Aden. I'm just floating it out here. This is like the whole British, fleet over here in the Arabian all together. I've got them, showing towards Karachi here. I'm going to probably put them down in Bombay. I find that Bombay usually is safe. If they're down at Colombo, that's way too open to the Japanese just sneaking up here and bombing the hell out of them. Bombay, eh, you know, you got to be careful. You got to run a lot of recon out here and make sure he's not bringing carriers up this way. We'll try. We'll try to be as careful as we can. We've got a lot of aircraft coming to Karachi. And you can see here we've got those are Hudsons, which are bombers. Those are medium level bombers. So there's Hudsons coming through. We've got on the Athene, we've got more of those Hurricane 2B Trops. We need as many of those as we can get. Over here, we have Blenheims, 24 bombers. Those are medium bombers. We also have 24 Hurricane 2A B Trops that are coming through, and a lot more. We've got the usual assortment of cargo and fuel coming to Karachi, and we've also got the 19th Australian Brigade that's on a transport that'll be coming into Karachi. So in it comes, down the rail it goes. Just bring it into Karachi. There's no reason to go any further. You've got a big, massive rail network that stretches all through India. You can put it anywhere you want. Now, we talked about the Australian troops. I've decided to keep most of them in India. Now, we're going to get a big batch, secondary batch of them in about, I don't want to say a month. I think it's a couple of weeks. Those I'm going to put on transports to Australia. But the first group here, the 7th, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, I believe, I'm bringing all into Madras. Now you can see, well, I say Madras, then we'll split them out to Calcutta. It's possible we may put some over in Colombo, although I doubt it. But as we look around here, we've got where are those? Hold on, let's go up here to Karachi. We've already dropped some off. Here you go. Oh, here's the 6th Australian Division. It's part of 1 Australia Corps. If we look at 1 Australia Corps, oh yeah, here's the points to change. 71 points for that. But let's look at its unit organization. Oh, it's only going to show us this. Okay. I want to see all of 1 Australian Corps. Can't get to it from there. I'd have to go down to Australia. Well, I'm not going to do that. Okay. So we've just got a lot of troops coming into Aden. Here you can see another transport. Here it is, 17th, 16th, 17th, and 19th Australian. I've also got those, heading down here. Now, this is part of a brigade. One Australian Corps is the command for all of this. Now, you could, once you get it down here, switch it over to some Indian command, but boy, that's a lot of points. So they may just have to be out of command. Um, okay. What else do we have going on down here? We've got a lot of ships backed up over here. These were coming into Colombo. Some of them, I think there was one that's supposed to go to Cochin, also Diego Garcia, but we've seen him with some action out here. We've seen sub action, also a few battleships out here by Colombo. And so I'm just holding them here. And how do we do that? We talked about this before. Here's the tanker, the peak. Remain on station. Just put it remain on station. Set the hex as this hex, and it'll just sit here at least until it's about to run out of fuel. Then it'll return to its home port. If we go around here to Rangoon, we have now got the H-81s. Okay, I don't have the trops down here yet. The first group of trops, I think I'm starting to fly them down. Let's see. No, maybe this is the first group that we've got coming along here. Um, That was right up here, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this will be the first group of trops. To the extent they're part of 221 Group RAF, we're going to get them down to Rangoon and start helping out. The Flying Tigers have been really ripped up, and so we're going to have to just get British fighters down here as fast as we can and try to hold on to the airfield at Rangoon so he can't just bomb the living daylights out of us. As long as we are not getting overly bombed by the Japanese here, it's very hard for them to march into Rangoon. We've got about at Pegu, we've got what? Whoops. There we go. 439 here on the Ave in Pegu. And at Rangoon, so then they would fall back to Rangoon, obviously. At Rangoon, we've got 460. So we've got about, 8 or 900 in Av there, plus another couple, like 100 at Mole Mine. So it's 1,000 total. If he can't bomb the living crud out of us, we've got a chance to hold on here. So you want to hold the airfield. You want to get those British fighters down there. At Colombo itself, I've got the trusty out here. Of course, we got to get the torpedo ordnance in here. How do we do that? 20. Put it in there, buddy. Let's actually give him 40. Let's just make sure the command. Now the planes, if we go back to the torpedo bombers, now they're using torpedoes. I thought I did that last time. Okay, well, they're using torpedoes. We didn't spot anything else this other turn. Unfortunately, it hurt us. We had a bead on a battleship out here, or on a couple of them. We dropped a bomb, we hit it. Torpedo may have been more effective, or hell, I don't know. Torpedo may have just missed. So maybe it was good we were using bombs, or maybe that's what I tell myself to sleep at night. Cape Town, we're really low on fuel. I'm trying to get as much out of the U.S. East Coast over to Cape Town as I can. We've just got to pound it with fuel because we need a lot of fuel in Australia. We're getting low in Australia. The aforementioned Singapore, he's sitting here in Singapore. We're fighting in the streets, evidently. You can see he's got a lot of backup. He's dropping things off. This is all supply, other troops. I've got subs in the area. We'll want to move these guys up here and just get in the mix, try to hit anything we can. So we'll just put that sub into that hex, and we're going to try to hit things as we can. Same with this guy. I'll put him up there. We'll do the patrol zone, the one hex patrol zone. This guy I'll just put, I don't know, here in case he comes in a little southern. It's got a one react. So to the extent it's in the hex next to it, it'll try to react to it if they know about it. He's also got new task forces coming down here to Java. So he's going to be heading down this way. Eventually, he's got one over here as well. What do we see here? Two ships, a battleship, We don't know what this is. It says it's one ship. Who knows? Fog of War, that's what we're seeing. We've got a lot of Dutch subs out here, but they have not been doing that great in this game. Certainly not what I'm used to. If we go over to Cape Town again, you can see I've got a lot of ships in here just waiting, especially tankers. Now, the lower endurance ones, I want those going to Perth. The higher endurance ones, I'm going to put these together and put them to the U.S. East Coast, or you could run it straight from Abaddon if you wanted to have things come from Abaddon to Cape Town, but we've got to start getting fuel into Cape Town. That's a big priority. If we look around China, you can kind of see our line, right? We're down here in Wuchao. We've got this line along Guilin, Nanning. This is Luchao. Okay, so that's a line there. We've got the groups, all of these stacks here. So at Hengyang now, you can see we've got 2056 on the garrison. I think that's more than, yeah, that's more than we have in Changsha. So I've gotten a lot of stuff up here. And then, behind here is Sengtan. We've got fighters up there. I say fighters. I said that as plural. We've only got 4 left, and so I've been putting them up. I actually moved the base force back here so we had aviation support. It's the only Chinese aviation support you have out here is this one base force. So you got to put it wherever the heck you got the flying tigers. And so I've got them back here now, but again, I mean, we just don't have that many of them. They've been really ripped up. As we come along China here, I'm trying to get, this is the groups, these are the stacks out here that just get bombed turn after turn. You can see they've got some strength, or at least they had some strength. It's down to 308. This is a smaller group. But it's got strong units, 70th and 88th Chinese. 475 on that assault strength. You can see why I was trying to get them back together. They've been trying to flee out of this eastern area, southeastern area of China the whole damn game so far. I'm trying to get them together and I'm trying to get them out. I was trying to have them all meet up here. First of all, let's get this together. I've got them all moving west. We'll try to get across the river somewhere, but he keeps blocking us off. He's got forces along the river here, so we're just going to have to thread the needle. As we move north, I Chang, he's got what appears to be a smaller force here. We have a massive force here. 2006 on the assault value combined. You can see it's drawing a lot of supply. We've actually got red down here at Hengyang, and so we need to spread some of this out so we're not completely undersupplied there. In China, you can only have so much av in one hex because you're in a lot of ways you're living off the land. Now you are getting some supply, but it's not enough. You got to live off the land a little bit and use what's naturally in the hex. So you got to split up some unit. Well, I say split up some units. It's not like divide the unit. You've got to take different cores and put them, kind of broken up a little bit so that they're not all completely undersupplied. You can see where we're trapped out here, trying to get back. I'm trying to get through here and either up to this base, or down to I Cheng, and we'll make our stand right here at the mountains in China. Up here, it's all about Lam Chao. Okay, over in the Philippines, there's not a whole lot to say. We're completely starved out. He's taken the whole northern island, obviously, except for Bataan. And so these guys are eventually going to starve out, or he's going to take it. Down here in the middle, he'll take all of these eventually. We still have some troops at Cagayan. There's no way to get them out. He's taken Balikpapan, Surabaya, Batavia. The invasion's coming eventually. It hasn't happened yet. It'll be interesting to see where he lands. He probably won't land at one of the main places. He'll probably come in on the coast somewhere else, but who knows where. We do have a lot of ground bombers here. So the minute he lands, we'll start ground bombing the crud out of him if we can. Now, those will all get blown up by zeros at some point, but hopefully we can wound his army a little bit. If we move down to Australia, I think I'm going to save that for next time. So we'll go through the combat. The main thing to remember down here is carriers. These are his carriers. He's moving them back up towards Port Moresby. So he did move away from the eastern coast of Australia where we had the fighters up. We've also got a lot of subs heading down this way. Every new sub that I get, I'm heading over here towards Australia with a home base of Sydney. The other important things going on is, I've got things coming in and out of New Zealand. I kind of use this as my landing base out here in the South Pacific. I don't go all the way to Australia. Usually, I come to New Zealand and then up. And my main focus right now in the game is building up Suva, Pago, Nomaya, getting things out here, and then secondarily Tahiti and Hiva Oa. But when we come back next time, I'll talk more about that. This has been the setup for January 28th. You can see we've got a lot of stuff coming out into the Pacific. We've also got our carriers heading back out to Pearl Harbor. And so I had them over on the West Coast for a little bit. I went and got the new one, the Lexington. Now we're going to just take them all back to Pearl Harbor where they're nice and hopefully safe and sound. Anyway, this has been Strategy Gaming Dojo. I'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.